Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the June 16th, 2026 Board of the Library Trustees regular meeting. It is now 6:30, and we now have Trustee Di Lorenzo, our secretary, will ask to call the roll, please.
Yes. Trustee Biederman?
Present.
Trustee Cox? Here. Trustee DiLorenzo is here. Trustee Fishman?
Here?
Trustee Mulman is not present. Trustee Pasco?
Here.
And Trustee Senate? Here.
Thank you. We'll now, point number 2 on our agenda. We thought we needed a secretary pro tem, but we have Trustee DiLorenzo here. Thank you. Glad you're here. We will now review draft of the May 19th, 2026 regular board meeting minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? All right. Seeing none, may we have a motion, please, to approve the May 19th, 2026 regular board meeting minutes as presented?
I move approval of the May 19, 26 regular board meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you, Trustee Biederman. Is there a second,
A
please?
second.
And Trustee Senate has seconded that. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Trustee Biederman?
Yes.
Trustee Cox?
Abstain?
Trustee DiLorenzo, yes. Trustee Mulman is not present. Trustee Pasco?
Yes.
Trustee Senate?
Yes.
Trustee Fishman?
Yes, thank you. The minutes from May 19th, 2026 have been approved. Now move on to public comment. Meeting attendees who have signed the visitor public comment registration form and wish to address the Wilmette Public Library District Board of Trustees may do so here. Welcome.
How are you? Bob Lukowski, Wilmette resident, 30 years. I'm here to support the staff and management in their decisions about what. Oh,
You did, I'm sorry.
I've forgotten. No, I've forgotten my whole spiel. All right. Shall we try again?
Start.
I'm Bob Lukowski,
Welcome.
Wilmette resident, 30 years, here to support the staff and management, their decisions about what should be in the collection, and to extend my best wishes for everyone to have a wonderful celebration for our country's 250th birthday. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next point is we do not have any presentations, so we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Treasurer Biederman, please.
Thanks. I will summarize the May bookkeeping report as presented by Sandra. On the revenue side, not a lot of items. We did receive $15,300 in replacement taxes. We received income of $21,004 in the general fund interest and $22,002 in special reserved interest, along with just about $1,400 in the IMRF interest portion of our MaxSafe bank account. Two CDs matured and are reinvested for 2 more years. We are awaiting a small portion of the tax levy, which is looking like it's going to be actually coming in the next fiscal year. But I know Anthony has more about that. On the expense side, we track our expenses on an annual basis versus the budget due to the fact that they don't come in straight line. As a proxy, we look at the percentage of expense to the year, and the year's 92% over, and we've done 88% of the budgeted amount. So I believe that's right on schedule. Notable expense exceptions in the audiovisual materials, periodicals, phone, insurance, computer, building improvement, supplies, and vehicle expense. The special reserve fund expense so far are $161,005, which is at the same point as they were last year, although we are expecting some more expenses right before the end of the year for projects, and expenditures over 10K, which are pretty much the same every month, Amazon, Overdrive, Digital Archive Group, and the Wellness Network. Payroll is actually on a straight line, so that lines up with the P&L. May financials reflect a year-to-date gain of $484,180. We expect that to be smaller, as there won't really be any more income, but we do have the 1 more month of expenses, and it's anticipated that we will be a small profit this year, as opposed to the budgeted loss that is primarily due to personnel expenses that were not incurred due to absence or gaps in employment. The next Fed meeting is tomorrow, and there's no anticipation of it changing, so our CDs will be renewed at probably about the same rate. Any new CDs in the month will be renewed probably at what we just renewed at, if they're similar lengths. That's all I have.
Any questions or comments for Treasurer Biederman?
So we are or we are not expecting more tax revenue before the end of the fiscal year?
I think we are anticipating a small amount, but it sounds like we might not actually get it. We still are awaiting about 5%.
Which is not immaterial. That is a pretty significant amount. As staff has been working to try to balance the budget per the board's request and holding back expenditures, despite our efforts to do so, it appears that we will likely still end up having to do a degree of deficit spending as we did not get all of the revenue we were anticipating. I shall say all the revenue that we are due. We passed our levy last fall, and it is difficult for us at this stage to tell whether the payments that we received in early January are from the tax year of '24, or the ones that arrived later are from tax year '25. The portal does not have receipts or any reconciliation for the taxing districts to verify the source of the data. On June 10th, the coalition of library districts in Cook County that have been working together to try to advocate on behalf of all of our agencies to receive all of the funds that our taxpayers have put forth to the county to be extended to each of the units of government, met with the coalition, including the Cook County Treasurer, and that commission meeting was chaired by our commissioner, Scott Britton. They heard concerns, public comment, as well as concerns from coalition members, library directors. I really got a sense that they were pointing fingers in either direction, either to Tyler Technologies, the new vendor that is managing the distribution data system, as well as the county themselves, which has other systems that they can maintain. I'm not at liberty really to explain any of this because I don't completely understand it myself. The data that I typically would rely upon is not available to me, so it's rather difficult for us to not only manage the current fiscal year, but also to anticipate what the revenues would be in this budget that we're discussing this evening. But all of that said, there is about $3.3 million that is still outstanding to be distributed to approximately 13 libraries in Cook County. Some agencies in our county have received more than they asked for, others received what they asked for, and Wilmette Library is amongst those 13 that is behind in its distributions and did not receive what they typically would receive. This is a significant aberration for Wilmette Library in that we typically receive 1% to 2% more than what we budget for. We're pretty conservative in terms of what we budget in our revenues, so to be this far behind at this stage of the year is concerning, but there's very little that we've actually been able to affect in terms of advocacy beyond speaking to the county commissioner and saying, what the heck's going on? Where's our money? The best that they could offer us at this point is when they announced that tax bills are going to be 2 months late for this coming up, the tax bills that are going to be supposed to come out in August will be out later this year. The best that they can tell us is that we'll offer you a bridge loan to help you make it through that time if you're not able to make all your payments on time, which definitely affects some other agencies. We do have a general fund balance that can help us bridge, and we've done that. But some agencies certainly don't have that mechanism built in. So we're frustrated, especially with all the effort that staff has made this year to try to balance this budget when we were anticipating deficit spending. It's a very frustrating place to be right now. But we're anticipating at least $300,000 still.
Have we had to take maturing CDs and use them rather than reinvesting them, or
We have not had to dip into our CDs.
Oh. So is there a chance it just won't come in this fiscal year and it will arrive in next fiscal year? Or there's just no, we just don't know?
There's no way to anticipate that, but I mean, with just 2 weeks to go, I highly doubt that we're going to see any additional tax distributions this month. So that would be this fiscal year, as we're on a cash basis. So any additional revenue that we receive from the county would be received next fiscal year.
So it could be additional income, unanticipated income for next fiscal year.
Yes.
I mean, we're hoping that it just doesn't
Evaporate.
disappear.
Not appear,
Yeah.
right.
Okay,
But like I said, we don't have any reporting for the receipts to even know
What
what tax
you've
year it
already
was
received.
intended for or what we were supposed to receive, so it's all still
It's a
very
mess.
speculative, yeah. But as soon as we have answers, you'll hear about it here.
Do they have a game plan or a timeline on when this will be straightened out?
I don't believe
Not
so.
communicated. Yeah, it's a mess. I mean, all you have to do is look and see, I mean, the news has covered it fairly well, and it's a mess.
are there things we can do to help advocate?
I think as there would increasingly be more public hearings on this matter, I think there's probably opportunity for advocacy for taxpayers to say, you know, where's the money that's supposed to go to my local districts? I've paid my bill. They're saying they're not getting their money. You know, I think that would be helpful for taxpayers. I think trustees obviously could do the same. As administrators, libraries across the area have formed a coalition to conduct our own investigative study about where the money has gone, where it's missing. But like I said, we don't really have access to the portals that would give us the information that we relied on in the past, so all we know is we're not whole and something's off. And that has been the state now for several months, and we've gotten no answers. But at least there are hearings, and there's more communication about it. There are lots of articles that have been written about this, but in terms of a game plan, a timeline, I really get a sense that both parties are kind of pointing in the direction of the other at this point, so.
And it's sad because, I mean, Lake County doesn't have this problem. DuPage County doesn't have this problem. It's a fairly, that's just something they do, is they bill, collect, disperse. But,
Or not.
yeah, well, apparently not.
Thank you.
We
I mean,
understand that there can be challenges with new systems and new, you know, tech partners, but it's not immaterial. It is having real-world impacts on local government. That said, one last item I will add to the treasurer's report is we did receive our per capita grant award letters for both Wilmette Public Library District and Kenilworth Public Library District. And those numbers are going to go up in fiscal year or in calendar year 26. The distribution for Wilmette Public Library District will be $47,900, which is a significant increase over what it's been by about $8,000. And Kenilworth will receive 43-ish. So about a 10% increase from our prior grant awards. And that is the first adjustment that we've seen to these grant distributions in many years. So we're very pleased for the Secretary of State for advocating for us and for approving those grant distributions.
Have we received?
We have not
Not
received the
received.
money, but we received the letters this week.
Okay. And again, is there a date or any anticipation of when these will be?
Within the next fiscal year.
Okay. Everything helps.
Every bit helps.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is that we need to approve the bills and salaries, a check detail for May 2026 as presented. Is there any discussion? All right, is there a motion to approve?
I move approval of the bills and salaries check detail for May 2026 as presented.
I second.
Thank you. We have a motion from trustee Pasco and a second from trustee DiLorenzo. Thank you. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, trustee Biederman?
Yes.
Trustee Cox?
Yes.
Trustee DiLorenzo, yes. Trustee Molman is not present. Trustee Pasco?
Yes.
Trustee Senate?
Yes.
Trustee Fishman?
Yes, thank you. The approval of bills and salaries check detail for May 2026 as presented has been passed. Thank you. We'll now move on to our action items and the annual budget for fiscal year 2026-27. And I'll forward this on to trustee Biederman and Director Austin, please.
We've finalized the budget at the last meeting, and I believe that.
Eric, could you speak into the microphone? Excuse me.
We
Can you
finalized the
hear?
budget at the last meeting, and I
And speak
believe
up,
at this
please.
point,
Pardon me.
at this point, we are just going to approve it to move forward. We did some adjustments. I know that that there were some adjustments to the budget, and we agreed on the additional amount for personnel at the last meeting. And I think now we just are approving it formally.
Or taking a vote.
Right. We're
Right.
taking the vote.
All right.
So just to kind of go over our process for
Yeah,
everyone
please do.
following along, the Finance Committee first met on Monday, May 11th, to do the first review of the budget. We did a deep dive on this subject at our regular meeting on May 19th, where we did kind of a verbatim summary of what that May 11th meeting was. And then following the May 19th meeting, the board held a second committee meeting on May 29th to have another review of the operating budget. And we had continued discussion about the budget at that meeting. And yes, Chair Biederman did summarize that the committee did move to advance the budget as presented. And that is the budget that is in the packet, which is unchanged from what we saw at the May 19th meeting, with the addition now of the May financials included in here, so that you've got kind of the month-to-month data to kind of see what the trending has been on the current fiscal year relative to the anticipated fiscal year 26-27. There were a few points that were brought up in discussion on May 29th, and there were some concerns about some line items in the budget, and the committee discussed them. I don't know if folks who talked about it at that meeting would like to add any further comment to the board for consideration before we take our action on the budget.
Sure, I had a comment to make. And I first of all wanted to thank Director Austin and the committee and the staff for all of the care and the attention that went into the process, because I know this is very tricky. It's very complicated, and including some of the reasons you brought up, Director Austin, with some of these uncertainties with tax revenues. It's just very challenging. And despite the effort that went in, just as a general matter, I am not a fan of deficit spending, of planned deficit spending, and am a believer in balanced budgets. And so for this reason, I'm voting no. And I just wanted to also emphasize that my vote of no is not in any way a criticism or meant to be critical of the staff or of the programs or of the policies of the library. It's my fiscal philosophy.
Okay, thank you.
I'll add to that. And again, I appreciate Maria's position. This is a philosophical discussion that the board has had for the last several years as we've had very tight budgets. And again, I want to reinforce what Maria said. As having done this now a few times, you know, the staff, I know, is incredibly careful with every dime that is in each line item, because they come out so close to what the projected budget has been. And like I said, this everyone on this board is very cognizant of the long-term fiscal health of the library. That's our main concern, is to have it remain viable and vibrant long into the future. And some of the conversations we've had around balanced budgets versus planned deficits have been robust, right? Because we all care a lot about that. So the reason I am comfortable going ahead and approving the budget with the deficit of about $100,000 out of the $6.6 million, I believe, budget is that's a very small percentage, and historically, we've been able to balance that throughout the course of the year in any number of ways. So, and giving the staff, what's the word, my confidence that this is what's best for the library at this point, and we will be discussing all the options, I believe, in the future for that long-term financial health. But for this particular budget with the small deficit that is planned, I'm comfortable voting as is.
And anyone else? I have a little statement. The board gave careful consideration to the 26-27 proposed budget at the two finance meetings that were mentioned, May 11th and May 29th. During the closed personnel session, discussions ensued about staying competitive with other area libraries regarding staff recruitment and retention. Following a review and discussion, the board built consensus at that time around the personnel line of maintaining a 3.5% increase for all staff, and that increase is consistent with our peer libraries. The board, as has been mentioned, highly values the staff and commends them for all their excellent work. As it is our board responsibility, we will continue to monitor the budget throughout the fiscal year. And I appreciate you also mentioning our long-term fiscal health, always on our minds. We applaud the consistent quality service that Director Austin, and staff provide to the community, and the dedication to welcome everyone through our front door. Are we prepared to take our vote, or any other comments? Okay. Seeing none, we have a motion to approve the final draft of the year 26-27 working budget as presented, totaling $6,955,067. May we have a roll call, please? Motion to approve. Well, I'm really off.
I approve.
Okay.
I move to approve the final
Thank you.
the final draft of the fiscal year 26-27 working budget as presented, totaling $6,955,067.
Thank you. We have a motion from Trustee Biederman, and is there a second, please?
I second.
And a second by Trustee Cox. Now we're ready. May we have a roll call, please? Thank you.
Trustee Biederman?
Yes.
Trustee Cox?
Yes.
Trustee DiLorenzo, no. Trustee Moment, not present. Trustee Pasco?
Yes.
Trustee Senate?
Abstain.
Trustee Fishman?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a consensus and majority, and the motion has passed. The motion for the final draft of the 26-27 working budget as presented. Thank you. We'll now pivot to Director Austin and something that we've discussed also with our update of our Friday evening hours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we did take some time as part of the budget discussion last month to talk about a detail that has been incorporated into the operations for fiscal year 26-27 as part of the operating budget, and that is the reappraisal of our lowest performing shift of the week, which are Friday evenings. There is a report in the packet that outlines what the recommendation of staff and board is regarding the study that we have taken regarding this particular shift, which historically has the lowest performance in all of our, in every one of our statistical categories, whether it's door counts, circulation data, telephone calls, general transactions at public service desks. In general, Friday evenings after 6 p.m. has been the lowest performing shift of the week. And given the nature of our commitment with our personnel and recognizing that we do not have additional dollars to bring in the staff that we need to maintain our services, reallocating the shift of staff who work on those Friday evenings to the times when they are most in demand by our community felt like the most prudent approach for us to take. In doing so and making that recommendation, we also were wanting to do a comparative analysis with our peers. And there's a report in the presentation materials that show 15 of our area libraries that we border and what their operating hours are. And it shows that there is consistency in our recommendation for amending our hours with that of what our peers are currently offering to their communities. And then, you know, if approved, the total operating hours for Wilmette Library would still be more than what our peer libraries are currently offering at their respective agencies. So I don't know, I'm not very eloquent about this particular presentation this evening, but we did have this discussion last month. I think that the report states what the staff's recommendation is and what we had discussed previously. Board, do you have any additional questions or comments about the materials in the packet and our prior conversation about this shift and recommendation?
I think it's a good idea.
Succinct.
Thank you. Right.
I mean, as we said, we're looking at all possibilities to keep the budget in line while maintaining as many services as possible. And I really appreciate the amount of work that went into looking at ways to do that, and that this was one that saves staff time and has as little impact as possible on the public. So I know that took some effort, so thank you.
We've been studying this trending for over a year. I know that as a board, we've talked about this even in the past, and the time seemed salient with the review of this particular budget and recognizing that there were about $25,000 worth of personnel dollars that were allocated to this shift that we could reallocate to times when they would be more valued by the community. So thank you all for your consideration of this recommendation.
And I think just on a personal note, anyone who does walk into the library past 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or before 9 o'clock will see that there are probably more staff than patrons. So it's a nice time if you like quiet in the library, but we can certainly have a better use of resources. So I actually also applaud all the statistics and the review. It was a careful review and not something that was just a quick response. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, we now ask for a motion to approve the recommendation to update the library's regular Friday hours of operation from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. effective fall of 2026.
I move approval of a recommendation to update the library's regular Friday hours of operation to 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. effective fall 2026.
Thank you. Trustee DeLorenzo, is there a second, please?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Trustee Biederman. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Trustee Biederman?
Yes.
Trustee Cox?
Yes.
Trustee DiLorenzo, yes. Trustee Molman, not present. Trustee Pasco?
Yes.
Trustee Senate?
Yes.
Trustee Fishman?
Yes, thank you. We have now approved the recommendation to update the library's regular Friday hours of operation from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. effective fall 2026. Motion passed. Thank you. Now move on to our director's report, please.
Okay, thank you. All right, I will briefly summarize the materials that are in the packet, and then I'm happy to take any questions or comments that you have from the report. In May, we saw approximately 23,000 visitors at the library, averaging about 750 unique users each day. We welcomed 175 new card holders last month, including 63 new student cards through our partnership with District 39. On the statistical side, our general trending decline in physical circulation was again offset this past month with another spike in digital circulation, with near records across multiple platforms. I sound like a broken record. I say it month after month, but that seems to be the trend. We anticipate, however, that the restoration of our book ordering through our new vendors and the exciting launch of our new book room will help our physical numbers rebound in the future, so we're going to keep an eye on that. And that is also reflected in some trending from technical services this month. You'll see that we released 1,700 new items to the collection, and we withdrew about 1,000. So our typical trend is one in, one out. And we certainly were stepping up to add a lot more items this past month once we got our new vendor Ingram up and running. So a backlog of book lists that our librarians have been eagerly waiting to order have finally been released, and we're getting lots of boxes of new materials that our staff is trying to crank out really quickly here in anticipation of the big summer read. The big action that's going on in the library right now is that we are in the middle of what is the final culminating phase of our collection revitalization project that's been in motion for a little over a year now. It all began on the lower level with our efforts to try to consolidate the collections on the south side of the building in an effort to open up the former 900s room so that the final asbestos in that corner of the building could be abated and that we could finally replace that carpeting that was over 40-some years old and deteriorating and give that room a nice, healthy refresh. And I am pleased to announce at this meeting that just over a week ago, we were finally able to relocate the media collection from the first floor media room down to the lower level north room on those same attractive shelves in that brilliantly revitalized space, and we've got new signage in place for those collections, and they're more attractive than ever in their bright new spot. And what's even more exciting is that late last week, the carpeting for that media room space, which we now will affectionately refer to as the new book room, has been installed and is very colorful. We painted that room over the weekend, and it is vibrant and glowing. And it is glowing even more so now because today we have built furnishings. So if you happen to walk by that corner of the building on the northwest side and you look in the glass, because you can't go in there just yet because it's not ready to open, you will see that all of those furnishings are in place on bright white shelves, soon to be populated with our newest and most popular materials, all for your choosing. So we are currently in the process of getting the final details set on those new furnishings in that space. We're going through the punch list, making sure they've got everything there that we had ordered, that it's all laid out the way that we want it to be. The end panels have yet to be installed, so it's still not quite 100%, but it's getting there. And we hope that, if not by this weekend, by early next week, we'll be able to get all those collections installed on those shelves and present those collections to the public, and you can step into that space and finally be able to say, oh, that's why they did all this stuff. And then with that much completed, we'll be able to turn our attention to the area around the adult services desk in a space that has historically been called the recent arrivals area, which will now be referred to as the fireplace area because it's adjacent to the fireplace. And you will see that we'll be displaying collections a little bit differently in that space, and there'll be additional space around the public service desk itself so that we can better serve our patrons at that primary service point there for that team. There are some other changes and transformations that are taking place still on the first floor as a result of this project. The furnishings that were housing the new materials for the past several years are being slowly integrated into other parts of the collection. Now on the south side in the lower mezzanine area, we've been able to introduce that shelving over there. There's already a few examples of that where it's been able to sort of lower the height of some of those stacks and allow us to better promote the collections in the large type area. We've also relocated the local history collection and the genealogy collection and the small business collection. Now we're going to be unified with the reference collection that's underneath the mezzanine, and that area is I think more attractive, more spread out, gives the users of those collections a little bit more space. It's more adjacent to tables, It's away from the computers, which were relocated a little over a year ago into that space. And that has also allowed us to build more space around the computers. We took down the shelving that was adjacent to those spaces and painted the walls over there. So there's more intentionality behind why all of those changes were made in that area. And all of this is in the spirit of the principles that were guiding our renovation project that got stalled a couple years ago. This is a way that we could still deliver to the public all of those outcomes, but on a shoestring budget, while simultaneously shopping in our closet and trying to make some incremental improvements around the building. I'm personally really proud of the staff and what they've accomplished on this project. For a very limited outlay of special reserve investment, we've been able to return, I think, a lot of impact. And I encourage you all to take a look at those spaces as they evolve. In terms of what the new book room is going to hold for us, it will hold all of our new books. It will also hold our new recently rebranded Hot Picks collection, which we are calling Lucky Day now. All of those books will have a new sticker on them with a shamrock letting you know it's your lucky day, that those highly in demand, often with long holds list items are now available on your lucky day when you find them on the shelf in that space. Staff have been adding more of those titles. There's more to choose from in that area. And even some titles that aren't necessarily right now at the top of the bestseller list, but are of high interest in our community. We're also going to be adding some boutiques in addition to the new materials in those spaces. They may include our cookbook collection, new biographies, and our ever popular and growing book club collection. I think those are the key highlights that I want to point out. There's also an opportunity for us to develop a staff service point in that space, and we're going to grow into this space over the course of the next weeks and months, and encourage you to come and shop the shelves. So next week, I think, would be the best time to come by and check that out. And you should do that because you're going to be participating in summer reading, and you're going to be logging all the books that you're reading in an effort to participate in our popular summer reading clubs. So brief summary of that. We officially kicked off summer with our big kickoff celebration of the summer reading clubs on Saturday, June 6th. And I don't have all the official numbers right now. We're going to have a full report on this for next month's June report in the July meeting. But we think that we had well over 400 attendees participating in our entertaining and engaging events that day. We're just 2 weeks in, so we want to encourage everyone to get a log and track their reading. We were doing a lot of advocacy for participation in this program, particularly in our schools in the last month. In May and June, Youth Services with their team and our cross-departmental staff visited our area schools to share about summer reading clubs to more than 3,500 students and educators at 10 schools in Wilmette and Kenilworth, including all of Wilmette Public School District 39, Avoca School District 37, Kenilworth School District 38, St. Francis Xavier, and Baker Demonstration School. We gave 35 individual presentations to those schools in an effort to get the kids and teachers all excited about the program. And we worked across agencies with our partners at Glenview Public Library and at Winnetka Northfield Public Library because we overlap a little bit with those school districts. And we're good partners. So our school engagement librarian, Etty Berlin, prepared and led these school visits with our teen librarian, Krista Hutley, and our digital maker services librarian, Janet Peel, as well as a number of our youth services staff who attended all those presentations. The theme of our summer reading program this year is Plant a Seed, Read. And our librarians are encouraging everyone to set personal goals to grow this summer. And we want to thank the Friends of the Wilmette Public Library for their ongoing support and advocacy for our summer reading clubs. And yeah, everyone who finishes the program and submits their log will get a free book of their choosing. And there's all kinds of activities to get involved in. Definitely encourage you to take a look at this, the summer newsletter, which outlines all those programs. Speaking, I guess, obliquely of D39, I will mention that yesterday We had staff, Andrea Johnson and Al Frumkin from our safety team participated in a joint coordinated program across all units of local government in Wilmette, along with some other key partners, to establish uniform procedures and communications for reunifying children with their families in the event of a crisis situation in our community. The goal is to have one community, one system, one location, with the benefit of each of these agencies supporting one another. And we believe that that exemplifies what a community should be. The programming and communications are all centered around a program led by an organization called I Love You Guys, and they have a reunification method that we're all going to be universally adopting at our agencies to help support unified communication in the event of a crisis. So this all kicked off yesterday at a community-wide training event and is designed to be formalized and adopted by all participating agencies in time for the school year this fall to launch. And we'll have more information to share with you as we go forward with that. But I think that this program continues to exemplify and typify the type of collaborative community building that we do in Wilmette. We shouldn't take this for granted. Our community really works well together. All units of local government really strongly partner with one another, and I was really thrilled to see D39 taking the lead in bringing this partnership forward. So,
Excellent. Yeah.
I think that summarizes the key points that I wanted to share. I also included one other item in my report. The Secretary of State's office did make an announcement earlier this month about its first ever statewide digital library resource program. It's called IRIS, I-R-I-S, the Illinois Reliable Information Sources, which is expanding access to ebooks, research databases, and educational resources for all Illinois residents, recognizing that not every library agency in the state of Illinois can afford to provide digital resources for research purposes. This program has been in place already for, well, almost 2 years, I think, since this went into place. But we have finally gotten the official announcement about it from the Secretary of State's office. There is an annual contract through EBSCO Information Services, which provides a lot of really valuable research databases to provide pre-K through 12 educational materials, undergraduate academic research resources, health and wellness information, business and entrepreneurship tools, automotive repair manuals, reference ebooks, test preparation, certification, and career readiness, and a host of other resources that agencies would otherwise not be able to afford. As you know, Wilmette Library invests about $500,000 every year in digital resources, and we were able to save substantial funds in that line item because of this partnership that has already been in place. So we're very grateful for the continued support that we're seeing from the Secretary of State's office. I suppose I should add that the Secretary of State in Illinois is also known as the state librarian. So we appreciate that advocacy. But he has done tremendous effort for us, Alexi Giannoulis, for both extending the per capita grant that I announced earlier, this digital resource initiative, as well as amplifying some of the challenges that we're facing just in general as being the third place in our community and a popular destination, and helping to activate more safety resources for libraries around the state. So we are grateful for the Secretary of State's office for seeing public libraries in the state. That's everything that I wanted to share with you all this evening. Is there anything else in my report that you would like to call out or ask about?
I would just like to say that having recently been into what was the old 900 room, now the new media room, and as someone who uses the media here at the library extensively, there was probably initially a little concern about what the future of that space would look like downstairs, but I have to say it looks really nice. I mean, very bright. And also I think it's great that we've moved the 900 books into the main kind of downstairs or basement area of it with all the other, hundreds books. So really looks very nice. And the carpet looks good too.
Thank you.
Very good. Wonderful.
Okay.
So much going on. It's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our committee reports. Trustee Senate, Rails, update, please.
Hi, yes. So for the Rails report, reaching across Illinois library systems, Rails continuing with the advocacy piece that it has added to its services. Has been working quite diligently on this ebook expense, or ebook, the cost of ebooks. Had sent a survey out to all the member libraries asking to share ebook expenditures, and there are people who are analyzing that data, compiling it, and getting it ready for more advocacy, because the Illinois legislature finished up their spring session on May 31st, and while the ebook legislation had passed through the House with flying colors, it did not reach the Senate before the end of the spring session. So there's a hope that it will be taken up again in fall. On the federal, last year I reported quite a bit on the IMLS funding. It is still a little bit of an issue. The House Appropriations Committee has approved level funding. The American Library Association, though, is encouraging library supporters to contact their senators on the importance of IMLS before final decisions are made on the draft Senate budget. Also on the federal front, the House has advanced two bills that would restrict schools nationwide, public schools, from classroom discussions and materials related to race and LGBTQ+ identities. At the state, on the e-book legislation, while it hasn't passed through the Illinois legislature yet, in other jurisdictions, very similar legislation, very similar to Illinois', is making its way through in Washington, D.C. The mayor has signed the e-book Fairness Act. Its provision is very similar to Illinois'. And in Rhode Island, that bill is just awaiting signature. What else? There's just wanted to highlight some trustee training that's coming up. Rails has added a whole free training modules for both staff and trustees. There's one coming up on July 10th at 10 a.m. that you can find in your portal. It is about advocacy fundamentals, practical strategies for supporting library funding, building relationships, etc. It is also, it's part of iLead, which means that if you register and attend, you will get formal acknowledgement, they're calling them badges, that you attended, and those are hours that you can then, you get like a quarterly report, and you can forward those hours to Director Austin, so when he fills out the IPLAR, he has the number of hours that trustees have done training, because that is now a new requirement of the IPLAR. There's not a certain number, but it all goes into the mix, so.
Good.
It's good to take advantage of these things while we can. They're webinars.
Great.
And if you are available, and you can ask questions. In fact, for this particular one, you can even ask questions in advance if you like. And then lastly, Rails is working on its strategic plan, and there is a strategic plan workshop for the board on June 30th. So I will be attending that. So if anybody has anything that they would like me to relate to, things that you would like Rails to do more of, do less of, etc., I will do my best to communicate that in whatever way that I can. So that's what I have
Sounds
for
good.
Rails.
Thank you. Thank you. And then you're also part of the Intergovernmental Cooperation Committee. Is there-
Yes. So the Intergovernmental
Please.
Cooperation Committee of Wilmette did meet last on June 11th. This meeting, unfortunately, was rescheduled multiple times, and so the committee didn't meet as many times as I believe was the intention. However, at the end of the meeting, there were a series of recommendations from the committee, and these were all things that had been discussed in some shape or another, to the various government units of Wilmette. Several of these, the Wilmette Public Library has already done, so I felt pretty good about that. But a few things. There was a suggestion that when the new elected officials take their offices and get training for boards, that there also be some civility training and some social media training specific to elected officials. There is a local candidate civility pledge that was suggested. Again, this would be completely voluntary, and it would be for candidates who are running for local office. Encourage participation in third spaces and public activities. The Wilmette Public Library, it really is the third space. This is something the library always does, and every time this subject came up, I had to refrain from saying, just do things more like the library, but that was, so there's going to be more of an effort, I believe, and also to communicate. We talked about communication, having more intergovernmental communication, cross-promoting each other, whether it's links, having brochures available, et cetera, mostly for people who, who really focus on one unit versus another so they understand what's going on. Encouraging the Human Relations Commission of the village to take an expanded role in civility. Reviewing all governmental policies on social media, decorum, public comment, and communications. The Wilmette Public Library did very recently update all of those policies, and in fact, those policies are being used as potential model policies for those units that have not updated theirs yet. Encourage the remaining government units in Wilmette who have not joined the Cook County Against Hate to do so. Again, the Wilmette Public Library has already done so. And exploring some sort of a lecture, workshop, seminars, et cetera, to explore civility topics. There was a hope to maybe kick this off September 28th, which is Good Neighbors Day, but there is no real structure or plan for that right now, and every government unit would really need to figure out what makes sense, given resources and ability to put anything like that together. Having said all of that, I just wanted to point to one quote that was on page 11 of tonight's director's report, and that was, quote, "While waiting for her client to show up, a regular tutor stopped by the service desk and shared, 'You know what the best part of the library is? It welcomes everybody. It is the most eclectic bunch of people. No matter your political beliefs, your age, your gender, they're all here and they're all welcome. This is the most welcoming and inclusive building in the community.'" So again, I had to just keep myself from saying, just be more like the library and things will be wonderful in our community.
Well said. Thank you.
Well, and a big thanks to the policy committee for the careful work on those social media policies and staff on I know that was, again, another conversation, and we were a little ahead of the curve on that. So, yeah, it's always nice to, in those meetings, know that we have put a lot of good work into those policies.
All right, moving on to information items. The American Library Association Annual Conference is scheduled for June 25th through 29th here in Chicago. For more information, you can look at opportunities for trustees at ala.org/united. Is there any new business? All right, seeing none, we will have a motion to adjourn. It is 7:25, and we will have actually a roll, or not a roll call, but just a voice count.
Are you motioning?
I'm motioning, yes, I always kind of flub this, but I am motioning. It is 7:25, and all those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Our motion is now adjourned. Thank you very much.